Welcome back, guys. This is the 6th chapter in our Next.js tutorial series. This one is a little special. Today we will add database storage to our existing to-do app. We will use an npm package known as Prisma. First, go to your project directory in terminal. Then type npm Prisma. This will install the package in our project. Prisma offers easy and hassle-free connectivity to all major databases. You can choose any database from SQL or NoSQL types. For this project, I'm using SQLite. It is light and sufficient for our to-do app. Before starting the actual work, we have to let Prisma know about our database preference. Run this code, npx prisma init-data source-provider SQLite. This will generate necessary configurations for SQLite connectivity with Prisma. Here, you can change SQLite with MySQL or PostgreSQL or MongoDB depending on your database preference. Must check out the official docs for details. It will take some time for Prisma to prepare the config files. Once it's done, we have to set up our database structure. It is quite easy with Prisma. We only have to define a model with required fields and their data types, and Prisma will take care of the table generation. Just edit the schema file and put the model there. Save it and run the generate command. But before proceeding, have a look on the fields I'm creating. Look carefully. There's an ID which is in unique integer and auto increment. If the database will automatically increase the ID number on each entry, no need to manually update that. Then there is a task which is string type. It will store the task text we will feed to the create form. And the last one is a variable called complete. It is a Boolean variable that will store the status of the task done. If you have any knowledge of database, then this should be easy to understand. Now, run the following code for DB tables generation. Run npx prisma migrate dev. It will ask a name to submit the change, so type something relevant to this update. This command will create a new SQL file in migration folder. Our project will use the dev.db file as actual database on runtime. The migration files are important to log the changes made in database structure during development. Other than that, this code execution also does a very important task. It will create a Prisma client that will provide all the necessary CRUD controls for our app. Soon we will see the implementation of Prisma client. But before that, let's define a new directory called db in our project root that is inside src directory. Inside it, create a new file called index.ts and place the import and export of Prisma client for common use. We can define Prisma client in every file where we want to query the database, but that's not convenient and efficient. The best way is to place it in separate file as a common utility. Once done, let's run the app and make sure it is working and nothing breaks due to all these updates. As usual, you have to run the following command, npx nextdev, to run the app. It will take a few seconds to start and compile everything, so have some patience. While our app is starting, let's check out the official docs for Prisma. You can easily find it on prisma.io website. You can see that we have followed the same steps as given in the official docs. We have already installed, initialized, and set up our SQLite database using Prisma. Here, you can also notice that the Prisma client is set directly in the file querying the database. It's totally fine. You can use either way, although keeping it separate is convenient for multiple use. Now look, our app is working fine, and the recent updates didn't break our code. So, let's continue with the connection. But wait, let me fix a few things and make the code clean. This is the time where you should remove all those experimental features that we have added earlier in the series. Follow me carefully and make the necessary changes. Once your code is clean, it's time to dive deep into the database connection. First of all, we have to update our task create form. It is the starting point of our app. So, let's start by wrapping the div containing the input and button inside a form tag. This form is important as we may have to filter the input values or inform the user about any error. All of these can be handled with form state. Once done, create an async function with appropriate name. This function will do all the necessary work of task creation. I have named this function, create new task. Choose these names carefully. First of all, understand the mechanics of this function. It must be a server function, as we will create a new entry in the database table. So, define useServer keyword inside it for proceedings. Start by storing the input value in a constant. You have to use the form data parameter to get the value for task input. Form data has all the info related to the linked form. Whether it's the input values, any select items, checkbox value, or the buttons. You can use it to securely handle the form submit event directly on server side. Usually you should filter the received values for error at this point. Maybe we will fix it later in future videos. After this, add an await call to DB. It's the Prisma client that we have declared in previous step. You will have to add the import to use this reference. It will provide the access to the task table. We will use it to create a new entry. The entry will require a data object, which is basically a map with the entered task value. Save it, and the function is almost ready. The only thing left for its working is the assignment of action in our form. So, use this function as the value for the form action. Save it, and the task create form is ready to test. But wait, how will you know it's working? For that, let's put console log inside the function to show the new entry. That's it. Let's try it. Notice the error in the terminal? Don't worry, it's common to have error on update. We are implementing FreshDB on existing app that requires some changes. So let's try to sort out this issue. The error suggests that we can't use server inside a client component directly. That's true. Our page already has a use client keyword attached. First, remove it and try again. We also have to comment out all the code that uses the route hooks. Follow me carefully and it will solve the issue. While I'm updating the code, you must understand that a better app structure is the one which has all the server actions stored together separately. Soon we will follow that, but for now let's fix this file and test the task creation. Simply comment out all the portions that are showing red squiggly lines. It's not that difficult. Follow the standard HTML structuring and leave out the unnecessary parts for later. The button requires a submit type and comment out the task item display code. It will not work as we have removed the task reference. Don't worry, just keep viewing. Soon we'll fix that. Have a look on this new error. Do you know why it happened? Yes. If you notice our Prisma schema carefully, there I've intentionally made the task variable unique, which means we cannot save same task twice. And unfortunately, I tried that by double-clicking the submit button. First, we could solve it by removing the unique keyword and regenerating the database. But the best approach is to add some filter and let the user move away from the form. Or maybe let the users know that they cannot add the task twice. Here I'll fix it with redirect. But before that, let's move the server action to its desired location. Create a new directory in your app root and call it actions. Then add a new file called index.ts. Add another file called createtask.ts. Here you should place your function and export it through the index file. Make sure to add necessary import in the new create task file. Also move the use server keyword to the top of this file. There's no need to leave it inside the function. Add the export keyword in the function to make it available. Now import it and export from the index file for easy usages everywhere. Now save all the files and test the form one more time. Look carefully in the terminal. The app is working and we have successfully saved the task in the database. Its ID is 2, as our previous attempt is also registered. Now add a redirect call here, so that the user gets redirected to the new task page using its ID. We have discussed the use of redirect in our previous video. If you haven't seen it yet, then add it next in your playlist. Okay, the redirect seems working fine. Next, we should update the ID page so that it can display the proper task linked with the ID. Therefore, open the ID page and update it with the DB call. Again, we will write a function to call the result, then we will move that to a separate CRUD controller file. We can also write the function inside our server action, but this time I'll show you a different structuring, as we will use the DB directory for such read operations. So, have a look on the getTaskById function. Again, it's an async function. It will return a promise, or let's say a future result. Therefore, we have to add await with the DB call. This time we have to find a single task from the task table in the database. For that, use the task table and reference find first property. It will require a where clause to filter the result, and we have to filter with the received ID. Again, we have to log the result to see the changes, and change the button with a link element, as button won't work as is inside a server component. So, I think everything done. Let's try these updates. Oh, another issue. It's just like the previous one. We can fix it by moving the function to a separate server component. Now, the task pages are working fine as expected. We can see the task using their ID, and you can see an A for the IDs that are not yet saved in the database. Soon we will completely update this logic and redirect the user to not found page if he tries to search for unregistered IDs. Meanwhile, remove the unused imports from home page file and clean the unnecessary commented codes. Here we also have to update our task list portion. I want the app to look similar as we have tried earlier. Therefore, we have to add some logic to show the task list below the form. But before that, let's add a try-catch block inside the create task function. This will catch any error thrown during execution. But remember not to place redirect inside the try-catch block, else the code will break. Redirect always through an error. This is its default behavior. You will also notice a new function call. It's the revalidate path. We will use it to revalidate the homepage. Revalidate path clears the cache forcefully. It will help the page to refresh its content even if it's in client component. Usually client component are static and can hold outdated data if not revalidated. Next, you may remember that our task list is already placed in a separate component. Let's use that file to get the desired output. Look the simple checkpoint placed for the ID. I know we will get an ID, but if by any case something goes wrong and nothing is received, then it will crash the program. Therefore, to avoid this situation, I simply place a blank string in else case. So, if nothing is received back on task creation, you will be redirected to the task page instead of any specific ID. It's a simple and easy way to avoid runtime error. And here our app is working perfectly fine. We will get the ID of new task in terminal, and same can be seen on the task page. As per now, everything looks good. The app is working fine, but we don't have any list to see the entire task list from the database. Therefore, let's dive into the list creation, especially the portion where we grab the entire list and show it below our create task form. For that, we have to update the task list component. But before updating the task component, let's create a task.ts file inside the DB directory and place it within the task directory. We have to move all the read and update queries inside this file for consistency and reusability. First, create a new getTaskList function there. Add export for global accessibility. Then place a return from DB. It will query the task table to find all the stored items. You only have to use the find many property here without any parameter. Also export a generic task type from this file for consistency. We will discuss about it in later videos. Next, update the task item component. It already has the layout, although we are using Tailwind globally, so it's better to update the UI with same consistency. Instead here, we had used the styled component. Don't worry, first of all, let's make the UI working, then we will fix the class names to adapt Tailwind CSS. Start by importing the task list type in this file. Then update the main function to receive a function as a parameter. This, we will call fetchData. Then we will use this fetchData to receive the task list from server. Finally, use map iteration to extract single task from the list array. All of this, we will do together. So just follow my code. I have declared an interface to factor the received function as parameter. It makes the code consistent and readable, although we can call it directly as a parameter. One more thing to note here, we have to change the file extension to TSX. Unfortunately, I missed that earlier. Now, simply map the tasks list and return the entire task container. One issue that you will face is with the styled component declaration. Both button and container have some dynamic styles which will cause issue. We could fix them, but I don't need these. So let's comment them and move on to the next part. Once all the corrections are made, and the task item is ready for the display, move on to the home page and uncomment the task item import. It has a few parameters already set during previous run. We don't need these. Therefore, remove them and add only one parameter called fetchData and set the getTaskList function as a reference to this parameter. Once done, you can test the app. Oh, we got another error. It's the same one as previous. It says we are using element that is not allowed with client component. Actually, the use of styled component is one reason, and another one is the use of task items as a client component. Just remove the use client keyword from this file and it will solve the issue. Later you may get rid of the styled components also. Everything is fine, yet no list is shown. Do you know why? Yes, you got it right. We have not exported the element correctly. You'll see that the use of rendered task constant is not proper. The spelling and return part is wrong, and it's being returned directly as a string, not as a reference. We have to fix the spelling and wrap it inside a curly brace. With this simple adjustment, our to-do app is ready to test, although it doesn't look as good as it was. Most importantly, the UI is not arranged properly. So let's fix that. And after fixing the UI, we have to implement the functionalities for the two buttons. The checkmark button should toggle the complete state of the task, and the cross button should remove it from the UI, as well as the database. I have already updated the UI and linked the functions to their respective buttons. Let's test these functionalities, and then we will discuss the code behind all that. In the updated task.ts file, you can see that I have added a few more functions. Earlier, we have seen the working of the getTaskList function, and I have also moved the getTaskList by ID function in this file. Previously, we have used it in the ID page. In this way, it's more efficient and easy to read. Similarly, I have also created two more functions. The first one is toggle complete function. It requires the ID and state to update the record. Here we will use the update property to change the state of complete variable in the database. This variable will inform whether the task is done or not. Next, there's another function with the obvious name, delete task. It is only used to delete the selected task. This function requires the ID to find the specific task and delete it using the derived property. Together, these two functions will complete our app functionalities. You may notice the use of revalidate path in both these functions. It's very important as we are changing the records, the UI must change accordingly. Revalidate path will ensure that the UI changes once the record is updated or deleted. This will ensure consistency on data display. Next, I have also updated the task item component. Remove the styled component completely and replace its implementation with standard Tailwind class names. A few little changes and our to-do list app is ready and working perfectly. Look at this simple ternary check. It helps to change the task color with state change. If it's complete, then the task will have gray color and a line through indicating it's done. Neat, isn't it? I've also moved the two buttons in separate file as a client component. Keeping them together will not allow the onClick event to work. This makes the code clean, easy to read, and more efficient with better performance. Next time, we will try to improve the UI of task pages and work around more with modern layouts. So, if you have any suggestions, then drop it in comment. Also, let me know about my flaws so that I can improve my workings. I know, this video has grown a little longer than expected, but trust me, it took me 2 days to finish my work on this project. This one is really a very important chapter. Working with databases is the core for modern app development. Literally, you could develop any kind of website or app once you understand the mechanics of database. Learning CRUD operations on all kinds of databases is essential for every programmer. I hope it's helpful, and if you like it, then please give a like, share this video, and subscribe my channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. It's there for announcing the future updates. So, that's it for today's session. Today we learn about installing and implementing Prisma in Next.js. We have successfully updated our to-do app, set up a model for the task, learned about DB generation with Prisma. And finally, we used the calls provided by Prisma for the CRUD operations. It was fun, isn't it? In the next video, we will work on form validation with Zod package and use the form data to inform user about any error. So stay tuned. Keep learning and happy coding. Thanks for watching TechnoSpace.